Welcome to another episode of the Phenomenal Woman Club, the podcast where you'll hear women being unapologetically phenomenal every episode. I almost forgot what I was going to say there, but welcome to another episode and thanks for coming back, guys. You already know what I'm going to say. Add, follow, subscribe to the podcast at the PW Club on TikTok, at the PW Club on Instagram, the Phenomenal Woman Club on YouTube. You already know what you need to do. Subscribe, let me know how things are going, comment below, comment, share. You already know all the stuff. Like, you know, every podcast you listen to says the same things, isn't it? Link in the bio, subscribe, retweet, reshare, whatever. But welcome back, and I'm so happy to have you guys back. And can I just say thank you guys so much for commenting, for engaging, for emailing. Like, thank you guys so much. Like, I'm loving it. I'm actually loving it. This is exactly why I started the Phenomenal Women Club podcast, because just this engagement and being able to chat to like women who are doing great things, and it's all for me. This is all purely for me. But thank you guys. As you guys know by now, I kick off every episode with a Am I the Arsehole scenario, because they are great and I love them and they're juicy and we can deep dive and get into them. So without further ado, let's get into this week's Am I the Arsehole scenario. Because honestly, Reddit is a gift that keeps on giving. Reddit is the gift that keeps on giving, and I will say that every episode. So this week's one is entitled, My boyfriend decided to unload how he feels about my weight gain while drunk at a bar with his co-workers. Let's go. My boyfriend, 30M, and I, 28F, have been together for 8 years this December. Wow. So a long-term relationship. For people who are quite young, like that means they were together from very early 20s, but okay, that's cute, that's nice. I was diagnosed with PCOS 3 years ago after gaining an insane amount of weight in a short time after stopping birth control. Yeah, so that is one of the like symptoms of PCOS. So poor thing, poor girl, poor 28F. Oh. Hand in hand, I was diagnosed with depression as well around the same time. Oh, so she's having a hard time with it, a very hard time with it actually. Poor thing. Losing the weight and still. Oh, sorry. How she typed this is weird. Sorry. Losing the weight is incredibly hard for me. I'd lose a few pounds then gain them back. Even if I did lose a few, my boyfriend won't be impressed and never said good work. Oh, okay. So here's where it's starting to get more difficult. Okay. He absolutely doesn't believe in eating healthy, or that my condition requires me to eat healthier than him. What do you mean? Hold on, sorry. What do you mean you don't believe in eating healthy? He absolutely doesn't believe in eating healthy, or that my condition requires me to eat healthier than him. I had to reread that to make sure that I read it right. I did. He says I just need to exercise more and more. I just run for 2 hours, lift weights for 2 hours, all those drastic exercise things I should do. But eating healthy is rubbish. There's another word here. So he's never fully supported me in anything. The exercises I do is useless. And she swears again. 28F is a swearer. The reason why I'm reading it like this, because there's you guys, I'm gonna put the link. I will put the link. You guys can read it in your own time, but you get the gist. So he's basically saying that all you need to do is just train, lift weights, whatever. She's saying no, you need to have a healthy diet too. This is where the issue is. We went out last night and his co-workers were seated at the table right behind us. He knew this. He got really drunk really quick. And you know what? Alcohol often plays such a big role in these scenarios. Alcohol is not is a problem. Some people cannot handle their alcohol. And when alcohol is then consumed and you can't handle it, your mouth becomes more free, which is clearly what's happened here. I mentioned what I wanted to eat and he lost his mind on me, going on for a good 20 minutes on how being fat is my fault and he can't believe I haven't lost the weight yet and he hates the way I look now. And he literally just went on and then said something in the Lord's name. Then a guy on another table stood up and told him, dude, don't speak to her like that. For another guy on another table to have to jump in to defend her, you know it's bad. Because we know that guys don't often do that. So you know this must have been really bad. Wow. And my boyfriend shut up. During this time, I told him to please stop, everyone is staring. And every time he got louder. He says he doesn't care and he wants me to hear this because of my health. It's not because of your health. It's not. Because actually, if it was about your health, then you guys would have been looking at more healthy eating. It's not about health. And actually, how he's gone about sharing his views is an absolute problem here. Clearly, shouting at her at a bar when forget who's even around, shouting at her at a bar is not going to help her become healthier. And also, it's not about health. She has a diagnosis of PCOS, so actually, it means that your body will become more resistant and make it more difficult to lose weight. So he has no understanding of this diagnosis either. He hasn't taken the time to understand what this diagnosis will mean to her and to her body. When he was done, he said, F this, turned around and sat next to his co-workers. I was literally too stunned to speak. One of them asked me if I wanted water or should they help me get him home. I opted for the latter. Good choice. You need to go home. When I got home, I just cried and my boyfriend just crashed out on the bed. I felt so humiliated and ashamed. Poor girl. I know I'm overweight and trust me, I hate how I look too. Oh, and I hate this for her. I really hate this for her. Poor thing. I'm trying my best to lose it, especially on the days when my depression feels so bad. I walk and run long miles because I know I'm not going to do anything else. This isn't the first time he lashed out about it like this too, but this is the first time where he's done it in public. Babe, this being with this guy who's behaving in this way and there being such an intense focus on your weight is not going to help anybody. And it is certainly not going to help you when you have depression. It's going to make everything worse. Everything. This man sounds incredibly stressful. I absolutely hate this for her. Obviously, she's not the asshole. Obviously, he is. I would love to know. There's not a part here about what happened the following day, but I would love to know what the conversation was the following day, whether they addressed what happened at the bar, if they had a conversation, whether any of his colleagues spoke to him, and said like, bro, what was that about? I would just love to know. And actually, if he's not going to change his behavior and not going to try to understand, the impact of PCOS on her mental health, the impact of the depression on her, how she feels about her body, if he's not going to take the time to understand that and practice empathy, what we've missed here is there's no empathy. We're not going to understand all of that. Then he needs to go. And actually, she needs to focus on her recovery. Getting herself feeling good. Feeling better. Back to herself. And I bet you she would fit when she starts feeling better about herself. Obviously, the PCOS will make it hard for her to lose the weight. But once she starts feeling better about herself, it will be a much easier process than it is currently. Because right now, it's all stagnant. The energy is rubbish. She feels rubbish about herself. He's making her feel rubbish about herself. It's not going to get any better. Poor thing. I feel so bad for her. Oh. So each week, I dive into a controversy or a misunderstanding surrounding a phenomenal woman. This segment is called Phenomenal Woman Unfiltered, and it's just to address what's been going on in the culture, what's been happening, what have phenomenal women been up to, and whether we need to talk to any in particular. And this week, we are talking to KEMI BADENOCH. KEMI, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I actually don't want to disrespect her and pronounce her name wrong, but KEMI, come to the front of the congregation, please. Can you everyone move out of the way? Let KEMI come to the front of the Phenomenal Women Conference, because we need to have a discussion. We need to have a talk about what's going on. Now, this is going to be controversial. I know it is. And I know you guys are gonna be on my neck. The reason why I'm going to talk about her in Phenomenal Women Unfiltered is because, as much as I do not agree with KEMI BADENOCH at all, and we'll get into that, she is a black woman who has been able to get a very high position. She's currently trying to battle for leadership of the Conservative Party in the UK. So we can't take that away from her. We cannot. We may not agree with her views. We may not accept anything that she says. I don't. But I have to give her dues where her dues are fair, or whatever the phrase is. She has done what she needs to do to get to the stage in her career and her life where she can be going toe to toe with other Conservative members, in order to challenge for the Conservative leadership. Good for her. Clearly that's what she's wanted. Clearly that's what she's been aiming for. That is a phenomenal feat in my eyes. However, and it's a big however, KEMI BADENOCH, every interview she's had over the last few weeks, so there's a lot of interviews happening, because, you know, if you guys are not in the UK, you won't be following this. There's a lot going on with the US elections and stuff, so I could imagine that's where most of the focus is if you're in the US. But over here, the Conservative Party need a new leader, right? Because Rishi Sunak is stepping down. Or had he been kicked? No, he hasn't been kicked out. He's stepping down. They're all battling, blah, 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 blah. So there's been a lot of airtime. She's been getting a lot of airtime because she's been having interviews. She's been outside doing all the talks. They all have. But KEMI BADENOCH has been saying nonsensical things. KEMI BADENOCH has been saying nonsensical things that make it hard to listen to what she's saying. It makes it hard to accept this woman is an educated woman. It makes it hard to understand her, because why is she saying such things? The first thing she said, which made me stop and look at her, give her several side eyes, was that when she was a teenager, she when she was a teenager, she got a part-time job working in McDonald's, and that made her working class. So she was middle class, and then she stepped into McDonald's, and when she stepped into McDonald's to do some work, you know, as you do as a teenager when you get your kind of like your early jobs, that made her working class. KEMI, what are you talking about? What is it that you feel that you have to appeal to? Because everyone knows the UK is very very classist, so there's quite maybe clear social class structures in the UK, right? So you have working class, middle class, upper class, and then I guess aristocracy, and then royalty. So it's very hierarchical, and the Conservatives represent more middle to upper class interests. Labour is supposed to represent more working class interests. So maybe this is what KEMI felt she had to do to be able to appeal to the working class people, and she thought she could do that by telling them that, oh yes, when I was a teenager, when I was younger, I became working class because I worked in McDonald's. What's going on? What's happening here? She did that. then I thought, okay, Kemi's going to sit down now because she's getting a lot of flack for this. People are just making jokes now about this comment she's made. And people are like tweeting that, oh, I used to work in this and this shop. That's when I became middle class, or I used to go to this and this area, to go clubbing. That's when I became upper class. So like people were now joking about it because it's a joke. It's silly. Then she went on a few days or maybe a week later and was talking about maternity pay. So maternity pay, like statutory maternity pay, I believe, and please do not quote me, I can't remember. I want to say it's £186 a week, right? If you live in the UK, it might be 168. It's got 186. The numbers are there somewhere. It's under £200 a week. It's under £200 a week. I can say that quite definitively. If anyone has been to UK, if you live in the UK, I am based in London. The one thing the UK is expensive, especially if you live in a major city. But actually, no, everywhere. The UK is expensive. If you have visited the UK, say you've come here on holiday, you will know this place is expensive. What's £200 a week doing for anybody? Please. That's the statutory maternity pay, whatever. Kemi Badenoch, who is a wife and a mother, I believe. She is definitely a mother. Said that, oh, actually, it's quite excessive, and that so the under £200 a week is really excessive, and people should be more. She understands there's a falling birth rate, but people should be more responsible for themselves. What do you mean, Kemi? Kemi, stop doing interviews. Stop speaking to people now. Like it's enough. Just speak at your Conservative Party conferences, because maybe they all believe you and they all accept what you're saying. But what are you talking about? People are struggling in the UK right now because of how expensive everything has become. The economy is all becoming too much. So you have people who are working full time and having to rely on food banks to help them eat. This is what's happening. This is the state of the economy in the UK right now. For you to say that the maternity statutory maternity pay is excessive when it's under £200 a week is insane. That's crazy. It's crazy talk. If anyone needs a support, it's parents and their children. They're the ones who are going to suffer. They are the vulnerable ones in this society right now. And then to even say that on the back of you knowing that people should no, let me address this properly. To even say that when you know that the birth rate is falling, so the birth rate is dropping, not as much as Korea. One day we're going to talk about Korea, but the birth rate is dropping. So therefore, people are taking more responsibility because people are saying, women especially are saying, we're not having babies. It's too expensive to have babies. We're not having them. Which is going to have a detrimental impact on the labour force and the economy in the UK. So to go onto interviews and say that the maternity rate payment is excessive when it's low is only going to further compound the issue of the falling birth rate in the UK. Kemi, stop this now. Stop this. I don't know what needs to happen. I don't know why Kemi's saying these outlandish things. I don't know, but I think there needs to be like, I don't know, maybe politicians, when they say outlandish things, need to be fined. I don't know. Maybe there needs to be some sort of, it needs to be addressed, because you can't just be saying these things that are detrimental and harmful to the country that you want to govern. It doesn't make sense. Kemi Badenoch, it's you. You are the person who we're going to talk about in Unfiltered. Let us and you know what, one day I'd love to have her on the pod just to understand why she says the things that she says, and to really understand whether she 100% agrees with what she's saying. Like, do you really believe and agree with the things that you're saying? I would love to get to the bottom of that, because Kemi, I don't know for you, babe. I don't know. So you guys know every week I highlight a phenomenal woman who is making an impact in the community, breaking barriers and inspiring others. I have spoken about this woman before. I have to talk about her again. If you guys follow my personal TikTok, it's Jordan being Jordan. I talk about her a lot because Gisele Pelicot, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, the woman at the center of, she is the woman who is part of the French case of the husband who was encouraging men to grape her. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. If you're not following this Gisele Pelicot case, you have to be. It is really important for every woman. And actually, somebody in my comment said to me, it's important for every woman, every man, and everybody to be following this case. And I 100% agree with it. Please go in. In summary, her husband, who she's been married to for like 50 odd years, was drugging her and inviting men to grape her in their family home. Insane, insane, insane. This week, and the strength of this woman, again, Gisele, I stand with Gisele. I spoke about her. I think episode 1, actually, I spoke about her. Go back to episode 1 and have a listen to what I say about her. She's amazing. Her strength astounds me every single time. And every time I hear about her, something else comes up and I'm like, this woman is wow, wow, wow. Just for me to hear this, I think yesterday I was reading an article, the footage, because obviously her husband also filmed most of the grapes. Gisele has said, all right, release the footage to the media of what these men have done to me, of what her husband, and I think it's 72 men on trial have done to me. Release the footage, let the media see them and shame them. And she has said, I'm not carrying the shame here. My husband and these men are going to carry the shame. So she has literally said to the media, I want this footage released, release it. And the court have said no. The court have said no, they are not going to release the footage because the footage is too heinous. That is how bad this is. They are refusing to allow the footage to be released because of how heinous the crime is and how terrible the footage is. But at the same time, the French courts are saying that they are not allowing Gisele to use the words grape when describing what's happened to her. What is happening here? Gisele Pelicot, she is phenomenal because she has not lost her mind during this trial. And I think most other people would lose their mind during this trial because it is the amount of misogyny she's having to face while she's like not defending herself, but having to explain what's happened to her is insane. I'm even speechless. I don't really have anything much more to say about it, actually. Gisele Pelicot, she's a phenomenal woman. She will always be a phenomenal woman. I'll mention her in most episodes moving forward, especially when it comes down to the trial, to the judgment being made. I'm probably going to do a whole episode about Gisele when I hear the outcome of the trial. I know what it needs to be, but let's see what happens because this French court are doing all sorts of nonsense. But Gisele, you are the phenomenal woman. Hang in there. I hope she's got support around her. I know her daughter's with her. I hope she's got support around her. I hope she's got all the love and care. Yeah. Gisele, we stand with you. So in this week's section, something for your phenomenal toolbox. And you guys know I like to share incredible resources that come up that help to empower you in both your personal and professional life. It's another book. This is becoming a bit of a book section. I promise you that they're not always going to be books. Like, if you guys are not readers like moi, no, I'm joking. I actually really struggle to read books, especially when books currently are contending with Netflix and with TikTok, so I struggle, but I'm getting through them slowly. I think maybe because I know that I'm coming here to talk to you guys about stuff that I'm reading or stuff that I'm doing. Yeah, that's helping me. But the book I'm going to recommend this week is All About Love by Bell Hooks. This is a tough read. I can't even lie to you. The first time I tried to read it, no. In fact, I'm not gonna lie to you. Do you see? I was trying to lie to you again. I have made it to chapter 3, barely, because chapter 2, childhood love lessons, I literally had to stop each page and reflect and think. This is a good book for if you're going like on a holiday and you're taking time out. If you solo travel, I love the solo travel. This is a good book to read if you want to have one of those like eat, pray, love trips. All About Love by Bell Hooks. You will be reflecting, you will be journaling, you will be thinking, you'll be sending, maybe you'll be writing letters to yourself, you'll be doing all the things. This is a book I think every single human being should read. Everyone should read it. If you haven't got it already, go ahead and find it. All About Love needs to be one of the books that you read. Maybe before the end of the year. Like, yeah. But it's not going to be an easy read. Let me give you that disclaimer. And I really want to do some more research into like learning a bit more about Bell Hooks. I don't know much about her. I feel like I should know more, because to read this book, you have to be a phenomenal woman. And I'm so sure that she is. So yes, All About Love by Bell Hooks. Go and get it. Well, guys, that is it for this week's episode of the Phenomenal Woman Club. I hope you enjoyed this episode. You guys know what you need to do. Share, like, retweet, resend, send, follow on Insta at the PW Club, follow on TikTok at the PW Club, give us feedback, subscribe, do all the things. If you have a phenomenal woman that you would like to be discussed in this episode, in one of the episodes coming up, drop me an email to info at the PW Club. And if you have maybe a woman who you want to be discussed in the unfiltered section, because I'm sure that you guys might have a few people come to mind. Again, drop me an email, DM me on Instagram, on TikTok. I live on Instagram and I live on TikTok, so I will get that as well. But thank you so much for tuning in for another episode, and I'll see you next week for more conversations that empower and stories that inspire. Thanks. Bye.